whosoever thing, and just talk about the movement and what it means. How important it is to kind of reach kids where they are. So many churches I think wait for kids to come to them. You guys seem like you're going after them in their element. How important is that for Christianity?
Man, I think it all just started off, as more of a brotherhood, and I've been a Christian a long time, and God knows I've had my ups and my downs, and my confusing points, and for me, it really is just getting back to the basics of loving Jesus and being broken and letting God, and just being in the presence, of the Father, and letting Him do what He wants to do in me. I think when it just comes to young kids, it's like we've been through so much, and we've experienced so much with a lot of these bands and just rock and roll. It's like, I don't have the luxury to hide in church. Even when I went home and took 5 years off of this band, I was asking God, like, hey, what do you want me to do, Lord? It's like I see so much stuff here on the road. My faith is being tested all the time. I'm tired. I'm just getting caught up in the routine of my Christianity, and it was so even for me, it's like I went home and I'm like, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll go back to construction. What is a good Christian? You know what I mean? There's so many different theologies and views from California to the East Coast all around the world, and it just got confusing to me. And so for me, it was just I just wanted to go back to the basics of just when I first gave my life to Jesus, and that's kind of how the whole Whoso vision came about. And even then, just being discipled and having my accountability, and even doing a lot of stuff for the churches and work, it's just like I felt like God had restored a lot of things in my life, but it was and renewed my love for His church, but He had already given me a platform, and so for me it was like God was whispering in my heart, for me, and this goes for nobody else, where it was, I don't need another pastor. Everybody's striving to be a pastor of a church, start their own church, move somewhere, build a mega church somewhere, and be somebody, and that just wasn't for me. God had given me a platform to hang out with these bands. I've already built 20 years of relationship with every band out there, and if anything, I hope to be the one constant thing in this rock and roll game, and that's just because I'm sitting at God's feet. And when we talk to young people, they just want honesty, man. There's a lot of things they can't talk to their parents about, or even their youth group leaders. And I think we see so much, and then since I've been in this game so long, it really comes down to how much do you want Jesus. I never subscribed to the institution of Christianity, you know what I mean? But I want Jesus, and I think these kids do too. I think a lot of them don't have a problem with God. They don't have a problem with Jesus. They have a problem with the churches that have let them down. They have a huge problem with people that have claimed Christianity all their lives, and they haven't seen it in their lives, and they're over it. And so I'm tired of defending that. It's just like, hey, I get it. You know what I mean? But it all comes down to the cross. It doesn't come down to he said, she said. It doesn't come down to Pastor so-and-so. It doesn't come down to the strict religious home you might have been raised in. It comes down to you having a one-on-one love affair with Jesus Christ. And so I think when kids can relate to that, and then it's not asking them, hey, let me see your resume before God will ever, speak to you or listen to you. It really is come as you are. I know that churches preach that forever, but I don't think the world feels that way. I don't really think they believe come as you are to the throne of grace. It's not like that. And so as the Whosoevers, I think God's been doing so much in our own life personally that the kids can see that, and it is honest. And when you have guys that have said, hey, I've been there, and not that I've overcome everything in my life, but it's a journey that I'm going through with the Lord, and hey man, I still mess up, or I struggle with things all the time, but I'm constantly at the throne of grace with God, and these kids can relate to that, because the world feels like they have to get their life together before they come to God's throne, and that's the exact opposite. So I just think it's honesty and being an open book before anybody.
How do you maintain? You kind of touched on it. How do you maintain your Christian walk on a rock tour? Rock tour is infamous for the alcohol and for the wild parties. Is it difficult at times to keep your faith strong, or what do you go through on the road?
I think a lot of that's a facade. I mean, it does exist. It depends on the people you're with, you know. When everybody says, "Tell me your craziest rock and roll story," I was like, I really don't have one. You know what I mean? It's not like, I mean, you hear stuff and you know stuff that's going on, but again, it's how much you want it and how much you don't. You know, again, you are tempted. You can go in one direction one day, in one direction. It's your choice whether it shows up or not. But we've been around for 20 years, and I think even at the height of our career, you know, you see all that stuff, and you can get caught up in the limelight and the glamour of it. But now it really comes down to how much do you not want that, and how much do I want to live out my faith? And so it all exists, but again, where you surround yourself with good people and you have accountability like those others.
It's been a while since Southtown Video hit MTV, and what year was that? That was 99. Does it seem like that long ago? Has it been a quick ride for you and you guys? Or?
It's been, man, it seems like yesterday. It's been quick, you know, but you know, we've all grown in just so many ways, and you know, our experiences have grown just tremendously, and so we were just talking about this last night with the guys. All our experiences not only is just, you know, from being new Christians to you know, experiencing Christianity outside our little bubble and going around the world and being in a rock band and having success, having the ups and the downs, you know what I mean? We were just talking about that the other night, and it's like, but our experiences are huge, and that's when you have these experiences, like, you gotta constantly go through them and weed through them all the time, because, you know, I myself, like I said, I've had a lot of hang-ups about the institution of Christianity and religion, and I know the guys have too. And so we were just having an honest discussion of just about things, and you know, our love for the Lord, but yet we're still tired of this and sick of these things, and so, you know, but it really does seem like we're teenagers yesterday starting this band, you know, but I know we're here for the right reasons.
Was there a time writing, when you're doing Murder Love, putting lyrics together, was there a time you stepped back and said, well, this is pretty strong, we should pull back in, or was a certain moment that hit you that this is a really strong record? Because I mean, the lyrics are so stout and just, you know, clearly in what you believe. Was there a time you thought maybe you should pull the reins in a little bit, or was that the goal to make it such?
I think we had literally taken, you know, almost 5 years off, and that for me was, you know, in my heart of hearts, I had put it down, you know, and that was just, again, like I told you, it's me saying, Lord, I just want to do whatever you want, you know, I want to be in your will. I don't want to just be in a band and be in the band. And so I had gone through so much in just those years, 2 trips to Israel, you know, this whole Whoso thing started, and just my accountability grew, and then going back and forth up to you know, Raw Reese's church, and just experiencing a lot of outreach in that way. So I had been sitting on a lot of stuff, you know, and when I felt like God was telling me, you know, I need you to go back out there, you know, and go back into the world, you know, be a light in the world.
Hey,
how you doing?
good. How are you, Jessica?
Brandon,
really
nice to meet you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Join us.
And so, you know, a lot of things were just sitting on my heart, and but even, you know, with the whole thought of what I am and stuff, it was like that was a demo that we had almost over a year, and then had you know, sat on that forever, because I don't want to offend Christians, you know, I don't. But at the same time, I think sometimes, you know, when people, not necessarily offended, but when they're, what's the word, uncomfortable,
Right.
I think that's a good thing.
Right.
I think it allows you to get out of where you're at and really check it out and see what's going on, you know. And I knew going into POD again this time, you know, it was more because I knew we were going straight into the world, and I know where I'm at, you know. And a lot of, you know, it's not like we're playing, you know, these Christian festivals and
Right.
getting paid Christian dollars. It's not. and I love the church, and I have a love for God's people, and it's like, but we've experienced so much more, and it's like we're in the middle of what's going on, and these kids that are dying on the daily, they're not worried about a silly little word that I don't even give any power to. But so again, it is what it is.
What do you tell a guy like Ed, new to the faith? Did you talk to him much when he first converted, and what do you tell a new guy like that?
Yeah, Corn took us out in 2000 to Europe, and I remember interacting with him just very briefly because he was going through his own things, and I remember I was sitting and catering with my wife and my 6-week-old daughter, and he had come out, and at the time he was all strung out, and he mentioned my baby, and he said he had a daughter, and I was like, awesome, man, and we kind of related there, and then you see him coming and going, and then I remember him reaching out to me right before he came out, or I think it was right when he had gotten saved, and he hadn't even told his band yet. He hadn't even it was nobody knew, and he got a hold of me. Hold on, baby, 1 second. He got a hold of me and was just asking me about it, and then he was saying awesome stuff about God in my life when we were on tour, and I'm here. I am humbled because I'm going through struggles and things myself. You know what I mean? Thinking, how could God use me? And here he is encouraging me. But I remember just telling him, dude, because he was like, once I come out to the band, to the world, already you have that religious mentality. What do I do? How do I start preaching? All this stuff. And I was like, bro, the world is going to be watching you, and it's like, you're going to be leaving one of the biggest bands in all the world right now to follow Christ. I'm like, you don't have to say a word, bro. You don't have to say a word, And I remember telling him, because he was just like, my parents think I'm a freak. And I'm like, well, because you are. That's okay. But you don't have to be all of a sudden, I think when we get converted, we get saved, and we come from such an extreme lifestyle, all of a sudden we want to be that extreme in our Christian faith, and all of a sudden it makes us jump from here to here rather than just sitting at God's feet. And I remember telling him, bro, if I know anything, just sit at God's feet, dude. Just take it easy, right? And we had this awesome conversation. The next thing I know, he was everywhere. Larry King is just, and they just labeled him as this huge freak. And I remember just like, wow. And so he did his thing. I didn't have any conversation with him. And then once we started getting with the Whoso stuff, Brian and I, Ryan Reese, and then he was just like, hey, I know you. I met Head. I read his book. It changed my life. I know you're friends with him. Can you get a hold of him? I was like, yeah, let's find him. And anyways, he ends up getting my number again. He ends up calling me, and I was just like, dude, what's up, bro? And he was like, the first thing he said, almost comical. He was like, it was something like, I really got crazy, huh, bro, or something like that, or something like that. He's like, I got ahead of myself, huh? And I just started laughing. It was something to that form, like he knew what had happened, And I was like, bro, God will never fault you, man, for just, being excited about him, That's
the journey. Excited about it, yeah.
I think he was, but I think he's come so far from then because, now he's had his own experience with religion,
right?
With, I always say the institution of Christianity, right, and the institution of church. He's had his own experience, and now it's like, okay, I get it, and now I can see me maturing in the Lord. I can see me calming down. I can see me just being still, And so, dude, he's come so far, man. I'm so proud of that guy, And again, that's where the Whosoevers is real, is because just like today, we text each other personal stuff. He texts me, hey, how's so-and-so? And I've been praying for him. He's been on my heart. And that's the relationship we have, where it's real. There's nothing fake. There's nothing phony about it. There's nothing showy, nothing about self. It really is because we love each other, and that's, again, how we Whosoever started.
How has social media changed Christianity as far as getting the message out? Is it a good thing, a bad thing, or in the middle?
Bro, ultimately, like everything else before the internet, before social media, God is in control. That's it. He's going to do what he wants to do. We don't convert. We don't save anybody. It's the Holy Spirit that does that. I think, if anything, we just get in the way of it because we like You know, we like that old pat on the back. We like the, you know, I think as you know, just human nature, you know, we like stealing God's glory, you know, in so many different ways. So God's gonna get His point across to whoever He wants to, and His perfect will, His perfect timing in the way He wants. And that's, I can rest in that, and I don't have to stress about, you know, how many times I said Jesus from the stage, or if I said an altar call at Ozfest. You know, it's that institution of Christianity that kind of, you know, brainwashed me into thinking like, well, okay, what am I doing for the Lord? You know, if I'm not serving God, if I'm not saying this, if I'm not, because I have a microphone, and it's like that all became confusion. Whether if I'm just in God's presence and I'm doing what the Lord wants, the Spirit's going to minister and speak to whoever it wants, you know. And I believe that more now than ever. It's the only reason why I'm here. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, again, Jesus was the perfect example of building relationships, you know, with His boys, you know what I mean, and His brothers, and just the ministry of reconciliation, and all that stuff's happening. And look at Head with Corn, and just, you know, even me and my own guys, and you know, so God's in control regardless of all that, man.